Ahoy hoy! Welcome back to my channel. Today I figure I do a vid reacting to 5 disasters that nearly ended humanity that the channel Underworld did. If you notice, I've already done 2 videos, well technically 3 videos of his. I put 2 videos under the same video though. And it's mostly just natural disasters because I have a lot of knowledge from studying them for the fun of it. I think I might have remarked about some of these things in the last video. Since the last video I think I did was 5 worst natural disasters in human history. Yeah, that's what it was. Alright, and I think for the next week or 2 I won't be on because the kids are out for Easter. So I hope after this video, I hope you all have a good spring holiday and stuff. Also, an announcement, I recently joined Patreon. So if you don't have a YouTube account, well, not a YouTube account, but like a Google Plus account where you can like and subscribe to YouTube channels, you can go to my Patreon and support me there. Right now, it's a monthly membership, but I'm kind of considering doing it by video, but I'll talk about that later on after this video is over, okay? So let's get into it. If it doesn't lag so much.
History is filled with examples of chaos and destruction, disasters that were both within and out of our control. But every once in a great while, there are disasters that could have ended life on Earth as we know it. Along with natural disasters, there have been plenty of times where human error nearly led to global conflict. Sometimes it is kept from the general public to stifle panic. Other times, though, we simply find out about it by accident. From nuclear war false alarms to asteroids narrowly passing by, here are 5 events that nearly ended humanity. 1815 saw the most powerful and catastrophic volcanic eruption in recorded history.
Tambora!
Mount Tambora is located on the island of Samboa in Indonesia. In the early 1800s, the island was part of the Dutch East Indies. Until 1812, the volcano had experienced several centuries of dormancy, but that year, magma started filling in the chamber, causing the mountain to periodically rumble and produce dark clouds. This type of thing would continue for the next couple of years, ultimately culminating in an incredibly devastating eruption in 1815. On April 5th of that year, the volcano exploded, generating a sound wave that was heard up to 870 miles away. But this wasn't an isolated explosion. Mount Tambora actually stayed in a state of eruption for days. On April 10th, the eruptions actually intensified, nearly turning the mountain into a flowing mass of lava. Flaming pumice stones measuring around 8 inches in diameter were thrown out, raining down on nearby villages. Soon after,
Hold on. I thought Tambora eruption that year was a pyroclastic flow. Right here. I mean, don't get me wrong, lava eruptions are quite capable of doing a massive, I'm gonna hate when I use words. It does do a number on the climate too, because like, if I recall correctly, Laki was the same way, where Laki was just a lava eruption. But there was so much of it that it did a number on the climate. Not as much as Tambora did in like 1816, because the climate wasn't affected really much until 1816. But anyway, let me just see something. Or maybe they were just talking about the beginnings of the eruption rather than the actual eruption, you know. I mean, it's like with Mount St. Helens in 1980, not 1880, but 1980. It had some small eruptions in the beginning, and then finally had a really massive one. No, I'm wrong. It had earthquakes. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Anywho, let me just see real quick what, because the lava thing is throwing me for a loop. I mean, and again, I want to clarify that lava eruptions can do a number on the climate as well, but I did not know because the eruption injected 160 to 213 cubic kilometers, 38 to 51 cubic miles of material into the atmosphere, which a lava eruption really can't do. I mean, don't get me wrong, gases do escape from lava eruptions, but, hold on. Actually, that's, yeah. You can read along with me if you want. Okay, hold on. Okay. Alright, so, yeah. Hmm. 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 Okay, there is a liquid. So perhaps they're talking about kind of how it kind of sounded like it started like they call it a Santorini eruption, which does involve lava, but the lava does this more than rather than just ooze out of the volcano like you see with Kilauea. Um, okay. Yeah, that's what happens. Okay. And then eventually there was a pyroclastic flow. Okay. All right. I just wanted to double check because I didn't recall there being lava in the beginning of it. All right. All right. Learn something new every day. Cool. Okay, don't mind me. Oh no, I accidentally muted my thing, so. You have to understand, I've been studying this stuff for the fun of it since I was 14, so. And I'm close to 40 now, so there's going to be times where I need to double check and stuff. Because, I could forget a detail about something, so it's always good to double check, even if you've been studying it for a long time, even for the fun of it, Okay, moving on. Sorry about that, I just wanted to double check something. Ow! You can hear that on my wrist. Jesus Christ.
Plastic flows cascaded on every side of the mountain into the sea below, destroying cities and villages. In all, 120,000 lives were lost. In terms of global effects, the eruption ejected between 38 and 43 cubic miles of ash and dust into the atmosphere. This ash then partially blocked the sun, resulting in global temperatures falling by nearly a full degree. The massive tsunamis that traveled in many directions claimed thousands more lives. Had this eruption been any larger, it could have blocked out the sun for a longer period of time, resulting in catastrophic loss of life. To this day, the 1815 eruption of Mount Tambora was the largest volcanic eruption on record for the last 10,000 years.
And it's not even considered to be a VEI, which is basically a super eruption. Mount Tambora is technically known as a VEI 7 eruption. And as you said, if it would have continued to erupt and it continued to pump out a lot of arsenals into the atmosphere, then yes, you would have gotten to have a super eruption. So, Tambora as a volcano, you definitely don't want to mess with. Out of all the non-supervolcanic eruptions, out of all the regular volcanoes, this one is probably the most dangerous. Come on. And while we're loading, I have to say I like the transition music a lot.
As humans, we like to assume that we have a bit of control over what happens on our planet. However, we tend to forget that outer space is full of large asteroids, black holes, solar flares, all of which pose a significant threat to life on our planet. On August 12, 1883, Mexican astronomer José Bonilla was studying the sun and observing sunspots. He loved looking into space, and since space observation was still reaching new heights, new discoveries were being made all the time. But, as he was looking on, Bonilla claimed to have observed over 400 dark, unidentified flying objects cross in front of the sun. It was not really known what it could have been, so the rest of the scientific community wrote it off as a hoax or a high-flying flock of geese. Bonilla didn't agree and continued to insist on what he had seen.
Sorry.
But what could he really do?
I'm sorry. You guys remember what that image looked like, right? Let's see. Do I dare go back to see what it looks like? Okay. How the hell does that look like a flock of geese or anything? Really? How does that look like a flock of geese? It's a dark mass. Hold on, I gotta see what... just for the fun of it. Okay. Images of flying geese. Yeah, unless it's flying in a V or something. Hold on. Let me just see if there's anything in these images they'll look like something that dude saw. Hold on. Or what the scientific community thought the dude saw. Does anybody, I'm putting the question out to anybody here, see how the hell the scientific community back then thought that image, let me show you guys again, there, looked like anything here? I mean, even if you get something like this, there'll be like these little things that are so freaking obvious. And you don't really see that because, well, yeah, if you saw it right there, that would be one thing. But out here? What is it? Ghost geese or something? Okay. Alright. Let me try to go back to where I was. I was about there. Okay. Gonna be a little bit of repeating this, but I had to double check that again.
Geese. Bonilla didn't agree and continued to insist on what he had seen. But what could he really do? Was that the end of the story, though? Not by a long shot. In 2011, scientists decided to look deeper into Bonilla's claims, sensing that if there was something legitimate there, it could be a big breakthrough. Well, not only was he right, the truth was actually a lot more terrifying than they could have ever imagined. The dark, unidentified objects were not actually birds at all. As it turns out, there was a comet somewhere in our universe that weighed over 1 billion tons. Fragments from that comet had broken off and shot towards Earth. The majority ended up passing within 4,900 miles of us, less than the entire width of Russia. But some passed within 400 miles. Scientists estimate the fragments could have ranged in size from 164 feet to about 3,280 feet across. One strike would have caused massive damage to a specific area. Multiple strikes could have destroyed most, if not all, of life on Earth. During the 1970s and 80s, relations between the Soviet Union and the United States were incredibly strained, to say the least. Both countries had nuclear missiles and ran...
I just want to say something real quick. I'm nodding my head only because of what I've learned over the years in the last, say, 10 to 20 years. But at the time the Soviet Union was existing, I was between the ages of being an infant to the time of, let's see, they officially dissolved in 1991, so I was about 9 when it dissolved. So for 9 years, I was around when the Soviet Union was around. But I don't remember much of it, of any hostility between the two nations and stuff, because, when you're a kid, you don't really give too much crap about it. You want to have fun. You're more into playing and stuff. You don't really care about global politics or whatnot because, well, let's be frank. When you become an adult, that kind of gets on your mind a lot more. But when you're a child, you don't really care about it. So that was nodding my head in the sense of what I've learned since then. But at the time that the Soviet Union was around in its last years, I didn't remember none of this because I was a kid having too much fun playing and stuff like most kids would. So yeah, just thought I'd point that out. God, does anyone else have trouble with the lagging when they're
Thousands of drills preparing for a number of different scenarios. It got to be so much that members in each of the country's highest offices were paranoid of attacks. On September 26, 1983, Stanislav Petrov, who was a lieutenant colonel in the Soviet Defense Forces, was the only soldier on duty at a command center that received early warning signals from satellites about incoming missiles. Shortly after midnight, the bunker's computers reported that one ICBM was heading straight towards the Soviet Union from the United States. However, Petrov considered it an error, as it was highly unlikely that the US would launch a single missile for a first strike, leaving itself open to retaliatory counterstrikes. So, he didn't notify anyone. Soon after, 4 more missiles were detected being launched from the United States. Especially after no missiles struck from the first alert, Petrov once again...
Let me guess what happens, because I think I've heard about this before. So, if I get this right, alright, we'll play a little game right now, guys, and you can play along with me. We'll see if I guess what he's trying to talk about before he even says anything. Alright, if I'm thinking what he's about to say, what happened was this guy in the Soviet Union thought missiles were being launched towards Russia from the US. If I remember correctly, the computer was giving him false alarms. And because he thought they were giving him false alarms, he didn't call anybody to tell them that something was going on, because if that would have happened and they really thought that the US was launching missiles towards Russia, the Soviet Union, I should say, would have retaliated and sent missiles to the US. And it would have been over the misunderstanding that there was that... I'm sorry, when I get too excited, I talk fast and let me take a quick drink real quick just to settle myself down. Alright. If he had notified anybody that that the computer or radar or whatever was telling him these missiles were being fired, and his superiors decided to counteract that, the U.S. would have been attacked over a false alarm, basically. Because I think if what Underworld's about to say is that this was a false alarm. Let's see if I'm right. If I'm right, nah, I don't want. I was going to say something stupid like, you should go join my Patreon and become a member for $3 a month. Something like that. But don't worry about it. Okay, so let's see if I'm right on this.
determined computer error and did not report anything. Thankfully, he was right. No missiles were launched from the United States. But, had he not used his better judgment, there is a very real possibility that this computer glitch could have resulted in the Soviet Union firing missiles at the United States, causing a nuclear war that could have impacted not only both countries, but the world as a whole.
I called it! I freaking called it! You all saw me do it. I called it. I called it. I called it. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And you guys are probably thinking, oh my god, she's insane. She's getting all excited like she just won a soccer trophy or something. And I'm saying that because that happens in the ad right here. But yeah, I called it. I freaking called it. Yay! Well, I mean, I'm sorry, y'all. It's good that this guy didn't act on what the computer was saying to him. I'm glad he thought there might have been an error, because trust me, like Underworld said and like I said, there would have been, the U.S. would have been attacked for nothing. And that might have been led to a loss of life. So yeah. I don't know. Did it.
2020 has to be one of the worst years in recent history, thanks largely in part to the COVID-19 virus. We've been able to see exactly how dangerous pandemics can be. However, the coronavirus is nothing compared to a massive outbreak that struck Europe and Asia in the mid-40s.
The Black Death. Yeah, and by the way, I think I did a major oopsie in the last video towards the end, because what was it now? I think in the last video when he was talking about the number one natural disaster that affected human history a lot. I think it was the flood that took place in China that cost 4 million people their lives. And I started blabbering about the Black Death, and I thought the Black Death had less casualties than that until I looked it up and it's 25 million, and then I said something stupid afterwards, and I can't remember what I said now, but I had a feeling that I made a very, 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 very misinformed call about something after I learned about that. But anyway, whatever I said at the end of that video, just ignore it, because, and I'm going to tell you this now because I learned it from the other video. The Black Death, this thing had 25 million deaths. As we speak right now, COVID has at least a little bit over 2 million deaths right now. Just to give you guys a comparison of how bad the Black Death is. Having said that, Underworld, I give you the floor. Or the computer screen, whichever.
14th century, known as the Black Death. In this time, the disease was believed to have started in China before slowly making its way westward. Diseased rats and fleas were the carriers that brought the disease and left a trail of dead bodies behind them. In 1347, a number of ships from the Black Sea arrived in the Sicilian port of Messina. When they docked, though, the majority of the sailors on board were dead, and the survivors were incredibly ill, covered in gooey boils from head to toe. The locals were quick to turn the ships away and send them back into the sea, but it was too late. The damage had been done. The highly infected...
Okay, quick reference here. There's 3 different types of plague. You got the septic plague, you got the bubonic plague, and bubonic is when you have the boils on you, and it's usually in the area of where your lymph nodes are. So you got lymph nodes in your neck, you got lymph nodes in your groin, and you got lymph nodes in your armpits. Those swell up a lot when you have the Black Death. And then the last one, which is the deadliest of them all, is pneumonic plague. And here's the thing, pneumonic plague has a really high death rate. So if you don't get treated for it, if you get it, you'll definitely die from it. So, yeah. Alright, moving on.
Infectious plague quickly covered the rest of Europe, wiping out close to a third of its population within 4 years. By the time the Black Death had finally subsided, it was believed to have caused between 75 and 200 million deaths across Europe, Asia, and the rest of the world. A plague of this magnitude really goes
Why is it 205 million?
to show how
from the last video. Not the video he did, but when I reacted to his video in the last video, I thought it was of the order of, I thought it was the order of 25 million deaths. Hold on. Death toll, from the Black Death. Okay, National Geographic is saying 5 million people. And I'm reading right here, when it hit London in 1665 to 1666, God, that's a mouthful. It was 70,000 residents from London died from that. So where is she getting? I mean, maybe it's 2,500 that she's trying to say. And I'm just misinterpreting it because, yeah, why not? Oh, wait. Okay. This is getting annoying. Alright, okay. So, National Geographic right here is claiming 25 million people. Wikipedia, and this is, I think, where Underworld got his information from, says 75 to 200 million people. And that is like between Eurasia and North Africa. So, I'll be honest, guys, I don't think anyone knows the exact amount of people that died. Because I'm getting so many different numbers. Like here from history.com it's saying 25 to 50, I'm assuming, million people. Here it's saying, which is from ancient.eu, is saying 25 to 30 million people. This implying 50 million people died from History Today. I'm not seeing a death rate from Britannica. So, like, it seems like no one knows for sure how many people died from this thing. The only thing that you really know is that it took a shitload of people. That's all I gotta say. Okay, well, what's the common denominator, though? Okay, 25, 75 to 200 million. Didn't say 50, 25 to 30 million. There's, like, no freaking... Okay, I'm seeing another 25 to 50. I didn't know which one to go with. Let me just go real quick to see where they got that figure from on Wikipedia. Because it just doesn't seem like anyone knows for sure what the actual death toll was. Yeah, okay, that's an estimate. It's saying on Wikipedia, 75 million to 200 million is an estimate. But what I'm seeing from the other sources is either 25 to 50 million. So, I don't know. And that's the problem sometimes, especially when it comes to history. Like, if there was no accurate recording back then, you're not going to know how many people died from this. It's always going to be an estimate. Let's see, this is Statista. Alright, let me see what this place says. And again, this is an estimate, guys. This is just an estimate. Alright, so that's like from Cities. But I don't want to know Stuck Cities. I want to know what the overall death toll was. I'm sorry if I keep deviating, guys. Just to give my perspective on... Okay, it seems like... Alright, the biggest death toll was in Venice and London. But I'm not surprised about Venice, because supposedly it came into Italy first. But let me see. Oh, they're just talking about bubonic. They're not talking about the overall. Because like I said, there's 3 different types of plague to deal with. Alright, you know what? For now, let's just go with the 75 million to... What was the other total? Yeah. Let's just go with the 75 to 200 million... I can't even talk now. 75 to 200 million... fuck it. You guys know what I'm talking about. Let's just go with that, because that's the... No one can give a good estimation of what it was. There's so many estimations and stuff. Estimates. Yeah, there's no such word as estimation. I don't think. Okay, anyway, moving on.
Vulnerable we are. Somehow, as if destiny is trying to tell humans something, this near disaster comes back to nuclear weapons. By 1995,
I was about to say, was it Lake Toba? Because Lake Toba supposedly cost humanity to become extinct, but I guess they're just going by other things. I'm sorry if I keep stopping the video, but I feel like it's better to comment when it comes up. Wow.
Cold War had ended. However, the United States and Russia still had quite the stockpile of nuclear weapons, and neither country trusted the other enough to let their guard down. This was especially true on January 25, 1995. On that day, Russian radar detected a fast-moving object above the Barents Sea, which is located on Russia's northern border. It was most alarming to the Russian officials because whatever was on radar separated into 3 sections, just like a Trident missile would. In Moscow, a signal was sent to briefcases that contained the nuclear codes. These codes stayed with President Boris Yeltsin, but there was a timer for this process. Russia had 10 minutes to decide whether or not to respond. 8 minutes after the first alarms sounded, the objects crashed into the sea, causing Russia to cancel its counterattack. Later on, it was learned that the object detected on radar was a scientific rocket that was fired from Norway. To make it worse, the Russian government had been informed of this launch weeks in advance. But the message never made it to the radar station. That small mistake nearly led to global nuclear war. So yes, maybe ignorance is bliss. It seems that no matter which direction we turn, there will be a new way for life on Earth to end. However, it is a reminder that life is fragile and precious. So, whether our threats come from the cosmos, the Earth itself, or other human beings, we have a chance right now to make the most of what life we have. To see our video about the world's worst man-made disasters, be sure to click the link on screen now. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. And with that, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.
And I already reviewed that video. Yes, I did. So I can cancel that out. And don't mean to make your eyes hurt. Oh my god. Oh no. Oh no. Go away. Oh wait, hold on. I was gonna change the... Alright. There you go. Alright, I hope you liked this video. I hope I didn't scare you by watching the video. I do get very excited when I watch these kind of videos. And I get very, what's the word? Exuberant when anything disastrous come up on TV. You guys should have watched me. I used to watch Seconds from Disaster and Crash Investigation. It was like watching someone yelling at something on the TV during a political debate or at like a basketball game or something. So yeah, I hope I didn't scare you guys away. So if you like this video, hit like. If you subscribe, I'll be absolutely joyous. Please go to Underworld's channel and show him some support. And as I said, I have a Patreon now, which I'll link in the description box. And you guys can support me there if you don't have Google Plus, where you can't like my videos or subscribe on YouTube. You can support me there on Patreon. Like I said, right now I'm doing the monthly membership things, but if it's too much of a hassle, I can always just start doing it by, you can pay video by video or whatnot. So let me know in the comments, either on Patreon or on here and stuff. So yeah. So anyway, I'll see you guys later. I need to go pick up my kids from school now. Toodles!